Yeah.
Hi everyone, welcome to ELI, the place where you get your daily dose of inspiration for entrepreneurship. And today we have with us Mr. Prashant Bhonsle, who is the founder of Kuhoo, which is an online platform for student loans. Hi Prashant, welcome to ELI.
Thank you very much for calling me and having me here. And it is my privilege to talk to you and talk to all your audiences through you. You've been doing it. ELI engages well, and there are a lot of audiences. I understand our potential entrepreneurs and existing entrepreneurs who've been successful at that what they're doing. So I hope we'll be able to exchange some things which are useful to each of us.
Uh, I would request you to introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah, sure. Uh, my name is Prashant A. Bhonsle. I have about 30 odd years experience across industries. Large part of my experience is in banking and financial services.
Mm-hmm.
I started my banking career around early 2000, 2001, 2002 when I joined ICICI Bank.
Okay.
I was there for a long time, almost 6 years, and I was doing different products. And after that, I jumped and started my kind of first entrepreneurial venture. That is not my venture, but
Mm-hmm.
what I did was I became part of the founding team of India's first student loan company, and that was my first brush with uh, entrepreneurship, so to say, because it is completely fresh start, and we didn't have anybody. Three of us put our heads together, two founders, and I joined from ICICI and made the business plan, and that eventually went on to become India's largest student loan company now in private space, and that was HDFC has invested, so it's an HDFC company now.
Mm-hmm.
So that was what happened, and I was there for about 7 8 years, and then I did a short tech stint, and then 5 years after that, uh, I was part of a founding team of another fintech called Incred Finance, and which has now become almost $1 billion balance sheet. And I was there for 5 years as handling different products, as CEO, and also sitting on a few boards there. So that happened, and about in November 2020 is when this thought started occurring of starting on my own, and
Mm-hmm.
got lucky when one of the largest private equity funds, Westbridge Capital, actually got in touch, and we started speaking, and the deal happened very, very quickly, almost during and we went into the discussion in the pandemic period, and the deal happened almost in about 2 months, and very quickly all over Zoom calls, and I raised $20 million of seed fund through Westbridge Capital. So
Mm-hmm.
that happened, and then since then we officially founded or established the company on June 2021. Though
Mm-hmm.
I started the project much before that, but I was transitioning from Incred Finance to my own venture, Kuhoo Fintech. Uh, that's my background so far. It's been about uh, close to 1.5 years now that we are here, and we have uh, we have about 50 odd people full time, 20 more as consultants, interns, and all that. So close to 70 people now, and different. We'll talk about what the stage of the company and all that. But that's briefly my background and what I've been up to.
Interesting. Curious to know what is the meaning of name Kuhu? How did that name came up?
Glad you asked. I'm very excited to share this story of the name because it's very close to my heart, and the backstory also of this name. So
Yeah, sure.
I wanted a name which is small because the target segment is students, and they're millennials, centennials, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I wanted a very small name with 4 or 5 letters, and when you go and find out, we go to find out, URLs for small names with 4 or 5 letters, very difficult to find.
Mhm.
Second thing, I wanted a name which connects to the product and the purpose of the company, right?
Okay.
Third, I wanted a name which where I can find the URL with the right spelling. I don't have to jumble up the spelling to get the URL, right? The website for website. So that's the third. Fourth reason was I did not want, because the target segment we are addressing centennial millennials.
Mhm.
They're the most internet savvy and social media savvy generation. I did not want a name with finance credit in it. So I
Mhm.
wanted, so these are 3 4 conditions I had set for myself. And then I went and told my wife Vasundhara, she works with ICICI Lombard, and my daughter Adya, who is right now studying in King's College London. So
Mhm.
three of us got together and I said, these are the conditions and we need to start this venture, and which we are very passionate. They knew how passionate about how I am about education, right?
Mhm.
So this is a maiden venture, and we thought this is the name we want to, this is the type of name we want.
Okay.
So we started searching. So three of us had different jobs cut out. Adhya, my daughter's job was, my wife's Vasundhara's job was to 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 come up with names, ideas, and
Mhm.
their meanings and what does it mean. Adhya, who's my daughter, her job was to find out whether the URL is available or not, and not what is the cost of the URL. So
Okay.
we started listing down all these things, and my job
Mhm.
was to actually evaluate whether
Mhm.
it gels well with my vision and so on and so forth.
Okay.
So we must have actually listed, between three of us, about 150 names and all that.
Mhm.
One fine day, Vasundhara came up and said, "Look, I think I found out our name, and which you would like, I'm sure." So I said, "Okay, tell me." She said, "Kuhoo." I said, "What does it mean?" Because one meaning I knew.
Mhm.
She said, Kuhoo is the sweet voice of cuckoo, when the
Mhm.
koel singing, right? So
That's right.
Kuhoo
Yeah.
is that song. What I did not know though was that in Indian scriptures it is written, when you hear koel singing,
Mhm.
it brings health, wealth, and prosperity, and
Okay.
that was a good thing. However, I liked the second reason or meaning of the name more, which I did not know. Which a lot of people, when I share the name story of the name, they
Mhm.
don't know that Kuhu is also one of the names of goddess Lakshmi, actually.
Okay.
And so, what are we doing? We are actually using money as a product to give it as a loan to students who
Mhm.
use it to get Saraswati, which is Vidya, to become successful, wealthy, and prosperous. Because education bridges gap between poverty and prosperity, right?
Yeah.
So this is the deeper meaning of the name, that the name represent what the purpose of the company is, to bring wealth, success, and prosperity to students. So that's why Kuhu.
That is very interesting. Um, Before we start talking about the venture, I must say I was once upon a time a student. I also took a very large loan to pay for my tuition fees at a B school. So I can relate as a customer to whatever you are building. So my first question hence starts from the problems with Indian education, especially uh, the part where a loan is required, the Indian loan student loan market. What are the different problems that are persistent currently, and what is it that you are trying to solve that the traditional players are not solving? Traditional players like SBI or SDFC, they are also providing education loan. So why Kuhu?
Yeah, no, very, very, very good questions, and thank you for asking that question, because it is important to not only understand what the problem we are solving it. It is also I'd like to tell you how we are trying
Sure.
to solve it differently.
Yeah.
And so let me start with what are the problems I see, correct? So this is across all the loan products, whether it is home loan, personal loan, even credit card in some ways is a credit, right?
Mm.
So credit card, vehicle loan, car loan, two-wheeler,
Mhm.
all kinds of loan. education loan is the only product where the lender, the person or entity which is giving loan to the borrower,
Mm-hmm.
needs to decide how much to give the loan and whether to give or not. First they need to decide if you apply to any bank or any NBFC or any lender for any loan, right? So there are two fundamental questions the lender will decide. Whether I want to give this person a loan or not. And if I want to give this person a loan, then how much loan I can give and which they'll be able to service and my portfolio will be good, right? These are two fundamental questions. Education loan is the only loan across product groups
Mm-hmm.
where the lender need to decide or the credit manager of a bank or NBFC need to decide these two questions answers based on the potential of the borrower. Which means what? If you're giving loan to the student, you will not be able to decide precisely how much to give and whether to give or not based on what their current status is.
Mm-hmm.
Correct? Because if you go and apply for home loan, they will say, okay, how much of salary you are earning? Please give me your salary slip, your bank statement, and I'll apply a mathematical formula and say, okay, you 100 rupees of salary, you can pay 50 rupees of EMI per month. And that's how you will multiply and say you are eligible for this much of loan for this many years. Here, there is no salary. Here, you are going for a college study or school study or whatever studies, which is supposed to get you a job of X rupees, and based on that estimation, you will decide how much of loan. Correct? Not all. While top colleges, you can have estimation of salary and income whether job milega ki nahi, but there are large number of top 20, 10, 20% of the colleges, the large number of colleges where the cost is still higher, but the estimation of job potential and how much a salary everyone will get is a very difficult problem. So that is the problem which banks faces, and that's why it's difficult for them to assess the potential employability because the data is dynamic. When I started my first company as private student loan in 2007, in India there were about 11 or 12,000 colleges only, about 550 universities. Today, as we speaking today, there are 1,000 universities and 50,000 colleges plus. So it is impossible for a bank manager or any credit manager to know whether the new course with the customer is applying loan for, whether they'll get a job or not.
Okay.
And how much of that job. So that's the lender's problem, and that's why the loan availability is very challenging. And you must have realized how cumbersome it is to go. So second problem is that students and parents nowadays, if they need to apply to a bank or existing NBFCs where branch, they need to go to the branch 5 times, 10 times. The parents need to come. So parents will have to take a leave from the office for every time they need to go. Student, if they're studying right now in engineering and going for MS or MBA, they'll have to bunk their classes or take a leave or go somewhere, right? So it is so existing loan process is not as convenient as we are trying to make it. So that's the second problem: convenience, ease of applying. Third thing is the two questions which are the problems for lenders. The same problem is student also facing. They want to know when they are planning for higher education, they and their parents want to know whether we'll be able to afford this education, first of all. Correct? So how will they be able to afford education? If 100 rupees is the total cost of education, some will come from their savings, some will come from scholarship grants and something, but rest the money has to come from, because the cost is so high, the rest of the money has to come from some kind of financing. Correct? So they need to know when they're planning their education whether I should go to US or UK or study in India and do MBA or do MS. Those are the decisions. As important element is finance. There are a lot of students I know, I've experienced last 15 years in this industry. They want to do some course, but they decide to do something else because they could not find right finance, right? So those two challenges are also student challenges, whether I will be able to get money for this or not, right? And that is the money problem we are trying to solve, because to know this answer to this question, they'll have to go 5 times to a branch or go and figure out and talk to 5 people just to know whether they'll get a loan or not, how much they will get. It's a few days process, right? And those are the things. If I can tell that in few minutes, which is what we have crawled first time here, to a customer who's applying and he says, give us six information, we can tell eligibility, this answer to these two questions to any customer in few minutes. And that solves a lot of burden for him, right? Because then they can decide, oh, I'm going to get, my cost is 30 lakh rupees, but my eligibility is 10 lakh rupees. So I need to figure out 20 lakh rupees, something like that, right? So those are the problems we're trying to solve. We're also trying to solve once the student comes out of the college, then they want to change places. They want to change their EMIs because they've started earning well. Some people don't start earning well because their starting salaries are lower than what they expected, but the EMIs are expected to be higher. Can you change EMI, pre-EMI, post, all of those things, right? Those are the challenges in this industry which are very unique to education loans. And the new age companies are trying to solve it. Like Kuhoo, we are trying to solve the product related problem, the process related problem through technology, eligibility, the problem that students are facing, the problem the academic institutes are facing, the problems that parents are facing. Because largely student loans are not, right now given not based on where the student is going, but based on how much of salary father is getting. So those are the problem we are trying to solve.
Okay. One thing most of the students, almost all the students are curious to know is what happens when a student doesn't pay back the loan. So most of the education loan holders, they initially try to default, and then after some reminders from the bank, they start paying back the EMIs. So that's a common problem in the industry. So can you tell us what do you do when you have a student who is not paying back the EMIs, and in some cases they are not able to, not financially capable to pay back the EMIs? What are the different things you do?
No, very, very good question, and very important question for students, for not only the lenders, but also for students, because it has impact on their careers actually, financial. So there are three reasons why students don't pay or are not able to pay, right? One reason normally is after taking the loan and getting to a college and completing the studies and joining the course, and they come out and they get a job. And so one reason could be that I am not able to pay because I did not get the job on time, or I got a job but much lower salary than I can service them. So that's called ability to pay. My ability to pay is much lesser right now. That's why I'm unable to pay them, right, on the full end. So that's one reason. Second reason is I am financially indisciplined person. I don't understand the implication of not paying on time. I have got a good job. I know I need to pay, but I'm very indisciplined, lazy financially. A large population of students, they don't realize the financial implication of not paying now. The credit bureaus are very strong, and a lot of employers now have started pulling credit bureau report before hiring anybody. It's not only giving other loans or financial product, but also employment. For employment, a lot of companies have started pulling just to check the integrity of the person, or how person financially, because if anybody is giving a job to a student, the company wants to know how financially disciplined they are for their own personal finances, right? How high integrity or low integrity. So those are the reasons. Second reason is how financially disciplined or indisciplined you are. If you're indisciplined, you will invariably miss EMIs, and then you will pay and your bureau scores will get affected. Third reason is you have everything going in for you. You got a job, you got a good salary, but intentionally you don't want to pay. Correct? A large chunk of students are in the first two categories. A large chunk. Invariably, most students actually want to pay. Either they're not able to pay because they did not get the right job or did not get a job at all. Or second, they realize that they need to pay, but they're indisciplined financially, or lazy, or do not know, or are got busy and all that. They're not prioritizing. But third, very small category, very few people in where they've taken loan, they've completed studies because of this loan, and now when they've got a job, they just intentionally want to default because they think, oh, I can get away with this, right? But all three cases, how we deal with it is, it is at the time of underwriting a loan and giving a loan, we first check all three things. whether the customer will be able to pay. How will I decide? I will decide based on past academic track record, which course they are joining, what is the entrance test scores, what is the potential of course to get a job for the person, and if they get a job, how much of salary they'll earn, how will their career will go. This is the domain expertise we have built over 14, 15 years, and that's why this domain expertise makes us very special in this industry against. So when you do that, then it's very unlikely that you are given a loan of 10 lakh rupees to a student and they're not able to pay because you have already assessed him, right? Correct? So that's first. Second is, if somebody is genuinely indisciplined or unable to pay, then what we do is we do a lot of customer education. We try and find out, we restructure the loan. We say, okay, right now it seems like you are under pressure, you're not able to earn. So let's see if we can reduce your EMI by so much and then change the EMI structure and pre-EMI structure and all that. So that we work with student because student is willing to repay and student is willing, he wants to repay, and right now is in a problem. So that works out. If the student is transparent and they come up instead of evading, they come up and share the problem that this is the problem, but I want to. Then there is a solution. Third category is a difficult category because there we'll have to actually tell and use legal means, send a legal notice, probably involve collection people and all of those things, right? So this is how you deal with it.
Okay. How do you, as a lending company, mainly lending to such a category where there is no security provided to you in exchange of the loan, how do you deal with situations like pandemic and industry level recessions and all? When that happens, a large chunk of your audience will fall into the non-paying category. They'll fail to pay their EMIs. How do you deal with such situations?
Yeah, so that will fall under the category of the previous question. They will fall under the category of temporarily I am unable to pay right now. It's not that I don't want to, but temporary because I've been laid off or I'm changing my job or right now there is I can't work because of some medical issue also, right? These are the things which are temporarily unable to pay, but I want to pay. In that category, then we will go and follow the same process that we go and approach and the student approaches and family approaches, and then we figure out a solution which works for them and which works for us. So there is, in pandemic kind of situation, RBI and government also stepped in and said you don't have to pay some EMI holiday for so many months, and you can restart EMI after this. You can't charge interest for during this month because of the large pandemic and all that. So everybody is trying to solve this problem for the common people or common students, right? So that's one way to deal with it. From the lenders end, however, I've also seen if there is no pandemic, there's, let's say, recession situation, not pandemic, right? There are also, but recession is a different problem to solve than pandemic. In recession, actually, you find education becomes even more important, upskilling become even more important. So education, like healthcare, is kind of anti-recessionary product. Also, if you are, and companies like us, we are very lucky that we started during pandemic, because when you lend, student will spend next 2 years if they're doing PG or next 4 years if they're doing undergrad in the course. During that time, they're only paying interest, servicing interest, so they're not paying EMI, right? And that does not put that much of burden. And as the days go by, now we are coming out of pandemic, the economy is becoming better, India has become fifth largest economy, the job scenario is becoming better, all of those things are happening, right? When these guys will pass out, in all probability, the economy will be much better and there will be jobs in which is better. So for a company like Kuhoo, starting now in tough time actually is a blessing in disguise. Because when the students pass out, then they will have a better economic situation in the country and across the world than that is today because of post-pandemic.
What are the different challenges that you have faced while building and growing this venture?
Look, I got lucky because I got a partner which is one of the largest and the best private equity funds in the world, Westbridge Capital. They are almost $8-9 billion fund, and we partner. So they are the best investors you could ask for, and there's significant amount of startup capital that have raised as seed. Correct. So capital is was not a problem for me, thankfully. uh, Market, we understand we are the few people in this industry who have domain experience in dealing with student loans for last 13-14 years. So domain experience is not a problem. So we are not that company which has found some new idea. The founders found a idea, they've got some money and now trying to discover what product we need to. We know the product, we know the problems, we know how to solve it. We need to just execute it well to solve it and do it more tech analytics driven way. So that's the second problem is also not there. The we know exactly what product market fit and all that. So capital is not a problem. Market opportunity size is very big, underpenetrated because I've shared all why banks find it difficult, why NBFCs, and how only specialized players in student loan do this business and they do it well. So that's the second, that there's a large market opportunity. The biggest challenge for startups, and that is now changing a little bit, is attracting and hiring and retaining good talent. Correct. So that I think I have spent large amount of my time during the first 6-8 months of large part of my bandwidth was going in attracting right talent, right leadership, right kind of people. And for that, how I've been able to solve relatively more successfully than a lot of other people, because if you go to Kuhoo website and you see the profile of the people and leadership team, it's a very high profile leadership team. People have come from colleges like Oxford and IIMs and IITs, and they worked in very large company, Fortune 100 company, Fortune 500 companies, and very large leadership positions, and they've left their cozy jobs and large corporate roles to come and join this startup. Because they like the vision, they like there is an impact that will create in the society, right? This is something, if you give education loan, you don't only change the student life, you change the family's life. So they see the larger impact of this product, they see larger impact of this product on the GDP of the country. So they've kind of married to the vision of Kuhoo. So attracting talent is also what purpose this product and the what problem we are solving, and what large impact other than financial impact we can have on all stakeholders other than the investors, right? So that I think attracts a lot of talent, and a lot of leadership people have come to us from doing their large jobs just because they want to be part of this project. So third, so this is talent. So talent and tech talent, especially within talent, has been the biggest challenge for most startups. And because most startups are not tech oriented startups, there's a lot of tech demand, and which is now changing slightly with all the tech challenges that are occurring for a lot of companies at tech. So some talent is getting released, and so that, but biggest challenge has been this. But I've been lucky to get good bunch of people, and how I've tried to solve it, according to me, that uh, people join for 2-3 things, and people join for one thing, which is what is the purpose of the organization. People join for who is the leadership there, right? What is the vision of the founder, right? What is the track record of founder? And third, people join if there is enough and strong backing of financials. So these are the three reasons why people decide to join. Why people stay and perform better, according to me, you need to solve joining problem, attraction, and you need to solve when they come, they stay, and they are motivated all the time enough to perform at their best level, right? So second problem, how I've been able to solve relatively better, I think, so far, at the cost of sounding a little immodest, don't get me wrong. There's a long way to go. We just started, but I've been lucky to get good people, and they've stayed. My attrition is in last about year plus is almost nil, and Nobody, people are joining, and more number of high profile people are joining. But how we have been able to solve? Because I personally believe culture of the organization that you build actually keeps the people intact as a glue and makes them every day get up in the morning to perform as the best version of themselves, and no, nothing else. Not the product, not the process, not the technology, but the culture that you are building, right? The culture of meritocracy, the culture of continuous innovation, the culture of empowerment, the culture of trust, the culture of complete openness and transparency, right? These are the things which people value when they come and work for you. So this is the two ways I tried to solve the problem: A, attracting talent, and because other things, I was very lucky. We had very large funding. We have very large funding from a very good financier, and we have a very large market opportunity which is underpenetrated. So this is how it is.
My final question, tell us, what is the meaning of entrepreneurship for you? How would you define the term entrepreneur?
Look, entrepreneurship for me is putting money where the mouth is. Now, let me explain what I mean by this. I think that everybody who is either very well qualified and much younger and has lesser corporate experience, those are the people who are turning people, founders who are less than 30 years of age. They have lesser corporate experience, but very good pedigrees invariably, and they are able to attract some money and all of those things, right? Those are the kind of type of founders which are coming in fintechs and tech world largely, because most companies are tech companies nowadays. Most startups are tech startups nowadays, in whichever sector, right? Largely driven by that. Then there are set of founders like me who have had very long corporate career as professional manager, and those are the people. This is my personal experience, that every professional manager with some experience in corporate life and large corporate life, at some point of time starts thinking that I want to do something on my own. Correct? This is everybody. Not everybody does it, but everybody thinks about it. Correct? So what is why people don't do it, and what is the difference between an entrepreneur and this guy who wants to be an entrepreneur? That's the question you're asking, right? The entrepreneur is somebody who knows that I believe I am better than the job I am doing, and I will prove it to world and to myself that I have more potential than what corporates are able to exploit or leverage. I am not doing enough that I can do, not because I can't do, because I've not been given enough opportunity. Correct? And the difference between entrepreneurs who jump and do this, or professional managers who jump and eventually become professional entrepreneurs, the difference is these are the entrepreneurs who are saying, I will, if I am worth my salt, then I will be able to prove and make any idea successful without the brand name of a large corporate. That means people will have to believe in you first, right? When they are either funding you or the people who are coming and joining you, it is only you are saying all of those things. When I was attracting talent or going to investors, I was telling them, this is how I envisage market, this is how I envisage how it will play out, this is how I'll build the product. This is all my talk, right? If somebody needs to believe, then this is the difference between entrepreneurs will take the ownership of action and result. This is entrepreneurship for me.
Got you. So on this note, we will end the discussion. Thanks for your time and our best wishes for Kuhoo.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful talking to you, and thank you for inviting me and having me here. I also wish more success to ELI, and more. You keep growing and give opportunities to founders to have some face time.
Thank you, Prashant, and likewise.
Thank you.